When you unbox a new iPhone, it feels like you're just buying a beautiful piece of glass and metal, right? Well, today, we're totally tearing down that illusion. Welcome to this explainer, where we're diving into a full product and business analysis of the brilliant and, honestly, kind of inescapable architecture of Apple's multi-billion-dollar ecosystem.
Because here's the thing, Apple doesn't really sell standalone products. I mean, sure, at first glance, it looks like just a premium smartphone. But that isolation, that's entirely by design. You're not actually buying a phone, you're buying an entry ticket to something much, much bigger.
So what exactly are you buying when you tap that credit card? Well, over time, that single, seemingly innocent transaction quietly pulls you right into a deeply connected and highly lucrative web of software, hardware, and services. It's literally like a giant invisible net.
Here is our roadmap for unpacking this trillion-dollar strategy today. We'll look at selling an ecosystem, the flywheel that prints money, the mechanics of lock-in, why competitors still struggle, and finally, risks to the walled garden.
Okay, let's jump right into part one, selling an ecosystem. It always starts innocently enough, doesn't it? You get the iPhone, but then you realize, hey, the Apple Watch pairs with it perfectly, and then the AirPods seamlessly connect to both. It's an absolute masterclass in cross-selling. Every single product in this chain, from your Mac to your iCloud storage, makes the others inherently more valuable. It's a closed, perfectly integrated system where everything just works so much better together than it does apart.
Which brings us to part two, the flywheel that prints money.
From a pure business analysis standpoint, this hardware lineup feeds into a brilliant four-step growth flywheel. Step 1, you sell the hardware at premium pricing, bringing in massive margins around 40%. Step 2, you lock users in with daily habits, think iMessage or AirDrop. Step 3 is where it gets crazy, monetizing via services like the App Store and Apple Music. And finally, Step 4 reinforces the whole trap. More devices equal more dependency. It's a self-feeding loop.
To put the sheer economic weight of that third step into perspective, Apple's services alone generate over $100 billion in revenue. $100 billion. And the real kicker here, those services operate at staggering 70% profit margins. It's just an absolute powerhouse of recurring revenue.
And because this flywheel is just so incredibly effective, iPhone retention rates actually exceed 90% in some markets. That's right, over 90%. From a business perspective, that is the ultimate economic moat. Basically, 9 out of 10 customers are guaranteed to buy your next product, simply because the thought of leaving is just too painful.
So let's look at why it's so painful in part 3, the mechanics of lock-in.
There are actually 3 distinct layers creating these massive switching costs. First, you've got the psychological layer. This is the familiar UI, the brand trust, and the very real social pressure of being the dreaded green bubble in an iMessage group chat. Then there's the data layer. Leaving means manually migrating, or worse, losing years of photos in iCloud, your notes, and all your app purchases. Finally, the device layer. Your Apple Watch is essentially a very expensive paperweight without an iPhone, right? Leaving Apple isn't just swapping out a phone, it's practically divorcing an entire digital lifestyle.
But, Apple is incredibly smart about this. They make this lock-in feel like magic rather than a cage. Think about handoff. You start an email on your iPhone and seamlessly finish it on your Mac. Or Universal Clipboard, where you literally copy text on your phone and paste it on your laptop. Or using your phone as a webcam with continuity camera. Competitors can chase individual specs all day long, but this deep system-level integration, that is incredibly hard to replicate.
Now, historically, Apple was strictly a premium-only game. But their modern strategy uses a bit of a Trojan horse approach. Get them in cheap. By offering budget models like the iPhone SE or pushing steep student discounts, they drastically lower the barrier to entry. They know full well that maximizing customer lifetime value is way more lucrative over the long haul than just making a single high-margin sale. Because once you're inside the walls, you rarely leave.
Which leads us perfectly into part 4, why competitors still struggle.
You might be wondering, why can't other tech giants like Google or Samsung just replicate this whole thing? Well, it all comes down to full vertical integration. Competitors might build great hardware, or they might write really strong software, but Apple controls the entire stack. They design the hardware, they write the OS, they engineer their own custom silicon chips, and they aggressively manage app distribution. That absolute top-to-bottom control is the secret ingredient they have that nobody else does.
But it's not all smooth sailing forever. Let's look at part 5,
Risks to the walled garden.
Look, no empire is totally invincible, right? First off, that very walled garden protecting Apple is facing severe criticism over limited customization and restrictive access. Second, regulatory pressure is really mounting. We're already seeing the EU forcing Apple to make App Store changes due to antitrust laws. And third, and this is a big one, the AI era. There's a very real fear right now that a highly controlled, closed ecosystem might actually slow down innovation and fall behind faster-moving, open ecosystems.
So, to really summarize Apple's genius product thinking, you have to recognize a massive paradigm shift. Most companies sit around asking, how do we build a great product? But Apple asks, how do we build a system users can't leave? Their true product isn't the iPhone at all. It's the invisible ecosystem surrounding it.
Apple has built what is arguably the strongest business moat in modern history by keeping everything tightly closed and perfectly integrated. But as we step fully into this wild new era of AI, we really have to ask ourselves, will Apple's closed ecosystem remain its greatest defensive moat, or will it ultimately become its downfall? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for exploring this business architecture with me today. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.